All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow. I want to talk about this particular subject here this morning, hoping to do my best to shed light on those who seek understanding. At least try to appeal to the minds of the people of what it means to come out of her and what it means to be separate. So I'm going to touch on a few things here, and I hope that some way, somehow, that it can give you an understanding, and hopefully that it would help influence your mind. I remember, some time ago, I had made a particular video about a lot of European, British, Australian, and American women, white women, are converting to Islam. And the reason being is because spiritually today people are literally tired. They're tired of the Western life. The Western lifestyle in a nutshell is go out, party, drink, do drugs, be loose, have no morality whatsoever at all, do as you want, do as you please. And people are just simply not desiring that, because it really, it's a false sense of happiness. People really truly are not happy if they have to go out and try to drown their sorrows under a facade of we're having a good time, doing things immoral and stuff. People just not looking for that. It shows you the lack of spirituality that we have going on today, and how people are desiring a deeper, more spiritual walk and lifestyle. It's kind of like I just got finished watching a video, and what one department did in order to curb and quell police brutality is that well over half the department, they put cameras on the police officers. And you know what they did? They did two things. Number one, the complaints from the police department or to the police department were reduced by 80%. And police brutality was reduced by 60%. And a lot of police end up losing their jobs because of the brutality that they had, because they believed that they had the uniform on and they gave them the right to make laws as they go. And they didn't like being questioned. And so, given the human spirit, they, did as retaliation, on the exception of one thing, though. They had a camera on them. And so they learned that whenever a camera is on you, that it quells certain attitudes. A lot of people, they judge our women in the ministry because our women choose to, after reading the Bible. Did you hear what I said? They make a choice and decision after reading the Bible that they want to be modest and cover their heads. And of course, what does this do? Well, there's a great responsibility because, our women, they have to check their manners when they have a head covering on. They're not permitted to go out and act like the American society, American woman does, because it's a constant reminder to them of what they stand for as a woman of holiness and what the Bible says. Let me go this route right here, talking about freedom and community. First of all, number one, where would I be at today if someone in my generation had bought some land some time ago? Let's say they bought 50 acres of land and they live a holy lifestyle. The buildings will already be built. That we could have had everything that I'm doing here today, at least trying to attempt to do in my particular lifestyle, because the book says that the children ought not to lay up for the parents, but the parents for the children. And the majority of all the people in my generation has gone before me, they have all been all selfish and they have all been foolish. I understand the gauntlet that my people has literally to run through, because property ownership is one of the staples of freedom in this country. And if you listen to me very closely and stuff, I really truly try my best to free you. But first, I try to work on this right here. First is the mind. Present things to you that you normally wouldn't have presented to you ideals, thoughts, because if you don't embrace these ideals and thoughts, you will never be free. You'll continue to keep spinning your wheels in this society trying to live and be like an American. But if I had the generation come before me to live and obey this Bible the way that I am, that could be even a greater generation of peace. It surely could. I've often said it once before, when we are dealing with communities, there are places being prepared, but are you prepared for the places? People, hundreds of people, come to my little small homestead, our homestead here, Straightway, every year. When they get here, the first thing they experience and the first thing comes out of their mouth is peace. They're like, wow. And then if they stay here for a week or 2 weeks or just 2 or 3 days, they're like, the peace is just utterly amazing. Because they're so used to the run and go, the hustle and the bustle of the American lifestyle and stuff. And what happens is they begin to desire that peace. But once they leave here, they go back and they fall back in the same old rut and situation again. Because life is sitting in front of them, and of course life presents a bunch of excuses rather than changing. And if you think about natural disasters, let me paint a picture here. All right? And you'll hear me over and over and over again say, come out of her, my people. Let's look at some of these disasters. Let's just look at even the riots. Let's start from 2000 and work our way up. 9/11. Look what happened inside this city. Katrina, Hurricane Andrew. I mean, all these things. Now look at the riots that are taking place in the cities. Now you think about this. For years, 20-something years, I've been telling people, get out of the cities. Why do I tell you to get out of the cities? Because I want you to not have air conditioning, because I don't want you to have conveniences and all like this. No, but if you're going to be a follower of the eternal, the creator of the universe, and you're going to follow their lifestyle, to use a term to what they are, they're pretty much farmers. That's what they are. And they are not people in the cities. They pretty much farm their own land. They were shepherds. They tend to sheep, goats, cattle, and they maintain their own lifestyle. Well, think about this for a second. There's a scripture that says over in Ezekiel, and I want you to listen to me very closely, okay? I'm going to quote Ezekiel 14:14, and then I'm going to go down and quote Ezekiel 14:20. And I want you to listen to the three men that's talking about. It says, though these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should deliver but their own souls. Watch this. How do these three righteous men deliver their own souls? By their righteousness, saith Yahweh Elohim. Now watch this one. It goes even one step further. Though Noah, Daniel, and Job were in it, as I live, saith Yahweh Elohim, they shall deliver neither son nor daughter. They shall but deliver their own souls by their righteousness. Now, why is Ezekiel talking about Noah, Daniel, and Job? Three evidently righteous men in a particular generation, because it's telling us how bad things can be and how bad things can get real quick, fast, and in a hurry. And the context of it is trying to tell you what happens when people are in a particular time frame in a generation, just like we are now. Can you imagine with the attitude you have today? Could you leave your loved ones behind like Noah did in the flood? I mean, think about this. Noah, everybody mocked Noah, just like they mock me today. And everybody, Noah was a cult leader. That's what they would say today. Noah was a separatist. Think about everything they would say today about me, the same thing they said about Noah. And Noah warned. What do? I warn. Because I live a righteous life. I really, truly do. I don't live in sin. I know, now you may not like my attitude. You may not like my perspective. You may not even like the way I preach and teach. And the only reason why that you have issue or take issue with that is because you're coming from a Christian mindset that has been influenced after the Western world, and you're not a student of the book. See, I don't read the Bible and then let Christianity influence me. I read the book for what it says. And since Abraham is my father, and I don't say that Abraham is my father and then reject his lifestyle. No, I actually think that Abraham had it right. So I follow Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, all the Israelites in their beliefs and their ideals, because they, after all, they got it right. Why do you think the whole world follows after that book, or at least have that book? They don't follow it. They may have it on their shelf, but they don't really truly obey it. So, you know what's amazing? Noah preached that there was judgment coming up on this earth, and there was going to be a flood. And they mocked him. But you know what? These people didn't really truly believe until the first raindrop fell out of the sky. And when the first raindrop fell out of the sky, they all were believers. And as that water began to rise, because at this time they never have ever understood what it means to rain, because the earth had water coming up from the ground. And that water up from the ground, it nourished the plants and everything. They never seen rain coming out of the sky. Now you think about this. When that water started getting up, everyone that mocked, everyone that derided and chid, everyone that ridiculed Noah, everyone that, listen to me very closely, had disparaging comments and words for Noah, they were all believers. Every single one of them. When that rain came down, they were all believers. Only one problem though. The place was prepared, but the people were not prepared for the place. You know why? They had too many things to do. There was too many things in front of them. At that time, they didn't want to sacrifice their life in order to preserve their life. They didn't want to change their lifestyle, because after all, they're enjoying the pleasures of life. Why should I get out there and help build an ark for 120 something years when I can have my family and I can live it all up and stuff and all this other stuff? And why? I don't believe that way. That's the attitude of the people then. That's the attitude of the people today. And we are nearer today than we were thousands of years ago for the return of Christ. And this time it's going to rain again. But this time it's going to rain down fire. What are you saying, Pastor Doubt? Again, I'm saying, everybody heard Noah. And you can tell that Noah, by today's standards, he was not a successful preacher. Why? Only 8 souls out of the whole world were saved. But guess what? He was successful because his choices, his decision in choosing to obey the Most High against wind and tide, because you have to be content to go against wind and tide. You have to be content to stand against the name calling and the ridicule of others and stuff, because you are convicted and know it's in your heart, it's right. Noah kept building, only had a little help to get it done. All the world was believers then. But guess what? I'll say it again. The place was prepared in order for them to escape, but the people were not prepared for the place. Am I saying that community is a place of escape? No, but I can tell you this, though. Let natural disaster take place. Let catastrophe hit upon this land. And all of you people out there that has ever come to Straightway and stuff, guess the first thing is going to enter into your mind. Do you know what the first thing that is going to enter into your mind? Straightway. All you people out there that have been spying on my liberty without making yourself known, who've been following my teachings, listening to the live Sabbath services on online-church.org or online-church.org. every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and every Sabbath at 11 a.m. You go to the website. You follow my YouTube channel. You listen to Blog Talk Radio. You hearing, and there are places all across this land that are being prepared. But are you prepared for the place? No. But this is what'll happen. As soon as that first raindrop hit, or as soon as the first disaster or catastrophe hit, the first thing you're going to do is think about Straightway or some of these other places, and you're going to go and want to run to there. And you know what the problem is? You're not going to be permitted to come in because you have not changed your mind. You can't live with us because you can't be told what to do. Because you're used to living a certain way because that's the way your mind operates. Do you understand that? And well, how do you know? What was the thing that destroyed the Israelites more than anything in the wilderness? Do you know what it was? If you don't, I want to tell you. Murmuring. Because natural disaster hits, you'll move to want to save your hide, but you have not changed your mind. Because anybody who lives on this community right here, there's a great conversion that has to take place. We don't care about what you think. No, we don't either. No, we don't. Your opinion does not matter. We have the experience and we have the knowledge and the know-how, and we've been doing this a long time. We are not going to conform to you. You're going to conform to us. And most of you simply because you're too prideful and too arrogant, you can't do it. Oh, at first you'll be humble. Because you're moving geographical locations. You're moving from one place to another, but you're only doing it to save your hide. Once you get here, you're going to find out we don't operate like you people do in the cities. We don't operate like Americans do and stuff. And we have disciplines. We have laws. We have rules and we have guidelines. And everybody here on this land follow them. Everybody does. But you're going to come with different ideas. And the first thing you're going to do is start trying to cause sedition. First thing you're going to try to do is cause some type of uprising or rebellion. Oh yeah. First thing you're going to do is murmur when things don't go your way. And this spirit is so strong that if left alone, it's systemic. It's going to continue to keep growing and growing and growing. You better learn from history. That's the reason why, again, there are places being prepared. But are you prepared for the place? And the answer is an emphatic no. You are not prepared for the place. So, ask yourself a question. When the next Hurricane Katrina comes, do you want to be in those cities? Because where do they usually take place at? Where are these riots taking place at? Because when civil unrest lands and falls in every major city here in the United States of America, you think about this for a second. The first thing that the government tries to do, if they sense that there's going to be some type of protest, they try to quickly overwhelm the protest by an extraordinary amount of show of force with policemen and National Guard. Why? Because they want to try to stop and try to control this protest before it turns violent. Well, only one problem. People are becoming very educated today. The people are realizing that there are more us than it is of them. And the people are not intimidated no more. There's simply just not enough law, or they used to be called peace officers. And they have went from peace officers to law enforcement officers. But anyway, there's simply not enough law enforcement officers and National Guard to manage the people. It's not the riots is proving it. They simply just cannot control the people. And especially if you've got riots and the people tearing down the whole entire structure in this area and then over in this area. That stuff don't happen in little small towns. No, it don't. Now, I'm not saying that small towns are righteous, because they're not by any stretch of imagination. Wherever there's man is, there's sin and there's every evil work. Well, what I'm saying is, when you're in these population centers and stacked up like sardines, can you trust your neighbor to be benevolent? Do you think that people are going to pull together? No, it's going to be every man for their selfish self, because that's the way they live. In a community setting, you can't be selfish and live on this community. No, you can't. No, you cannot. Because we're not going to cater to you. In no way, shape, fashion, or form. We're about the whole. This is not about you, yourself, and I. This is not about your personal welfare and your being. Everything we do here is for the betterment of the whole. And if you're in part of the whole, if you're part of the whole, then you can benefit from it. But if you're not part of the whole and you're selfish as hell, no, we're not going to bend over backwards to accommodate your spoiled ass. And when you have not prepared your mind for the place, I've lived long enough to know when people are ready and not ready. I remember, let me see. Sister Ashley, we'll start with her. She moved here, I think, maybe 7 years ago. I don't know, something like that. And 7 years ago, I mean, maybe 8 years, something like that. Do you know how many people we have had to move on this community and leave since then? And we're getting better. Because when I first started this thing, I thought everybody had the same attitude and mindset. Hey, y'all, come on. Hey, man, we're going to live for y'all. We're going to live quiet and peaceful. We're going to live holy. And then, guess what? Humanity sets in. And I quickly found out that people are not interested in living holy. What they do want, though, is they want a place to lay their head. They want people to take care of them, but they don't want to work. They don't want to be responsible for themselves, and neither do they care about the whole. And as soon as things don't start going there, as soon as things don't go their way, first thing they want to do is complain and murmur, while they put little in and expect a lot out. I've dealt with all these attitudes, and we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good with our track record because I have spent years of learning humanity because I live this way. Do you understand? Well, between Sister Ashley, I think you have Sister Nellie and the children, and then you have Brother Scott and his family. We've had one other family that was here, and they went to another community. Didn't last at all. And it's just getting less and less and less. But what I'm saying is, we're averaging only one single person every 7 years that actually has the opportunity to move on this land. Think about that for a second. Because there are a lot of people, when they come around, man, they look good. Yeah, they do. Their attitudes look good and everything and stuff like that. But live around each other. Live with somebody for a while, and you're going to find out real quick, fast, in a hurry, the type of people they are. For instance, all of us as men here, we are literal workers. We're trying to get this thing done so that the generation coming after us, be it Messiah doesn't come for another 10 years or 20 years, or if he comes in the next 2 years. We're trying to make things better for the generation coming after us so they don't have to work as hard as we do. And then all we have to do is teach them to maintain. And hopefully in that they can be more righteous and grow more holy, and they can have the same testimony as Noah, Daniel, and Job. They will but just save themselves. That's what I'm doing. I can't save son or daughter, neither do I desire to. Without love for them to make it to the kingdom more than anything in the world. But I am not about to bow down and submit to their belief system when I raise them. And when I look at their lifestyle compared to mine, I'm the one that's holy. I'm the one that's set apart and living right, not them. And ain't no way in hell I'm going to sit out there and follow them. They're going to seek to me. And if they don't like it, they don't have to ever be here. Because before Pastor Dow passes on and leave this way, be the Father's will, I'm going to leave this in the hands of someone, number one, who loves and respects the Father more than anything. Number two, they're very tactful, respectful, honorable, and a hard-working man. Number three, they're very intelligent and filled with the Holy Spirit. Them and the younger elders. And I'm going to tell you right now, we've got quite a few young men that are rising up in this generation. I mean, really rising up in this generation. And if I was going to use someone as an example who's been with me for a long time, that could definitely possibly run this place right here, it would be Elder Austin. I mean, because he's been with me for 7-8 years a long time. Young man. He's only 27 years old. 27 years old. And you will be highly impressed at the character of this young man. You'll be highly impressed. Strong leader. Very powerful young man. Very respectful. I have never, ever had one issue with that young man. Zero. Not one. He's learning from me. And anybody who has the opportunity to be up under his authority, you blessed. You really, truly blessed. He has never crossed me with a word. He has never risen up against me one bit. And he has been blessed immensely. And continues to be blessed. And has a strong, powerful relationship with the Father too. Him and his family. It's just a beautiful thing to watch. And he started this earlier than I did. He started this when he was like 19 or 20 years old. Just beautiful. And that's his son. My grandson. Well, Pastor, ain't your great. Yes, it is too. I got all kinds of children around. I got all of y'all's children. If they're that age, they're my grandchildren. They are. I love them dearly. But you can't take somebody who has never sacrificed and who has never, ever got out here and went through the blood, sweat, and tears, and expect them to be respectful and tactful for the place that you've worked at. You can't expect that. Only a very few other people. And there's another young man, live in this community, young man. As a matter of fact, I think he is the youngest adult on the community. Brother Scott, sound young man. I think Brother Scott is like in his mid-30s or something like that. But you have to understand he's a young man compared to me. He's a young man compared to Elder Doug. But I tell you, just sound, and Elias, very sound. I mean, I could go on not all day long. I can only go on just for a few minutes about the honorable young man that I'm trying to paint a picture to show you what's happening here. Because Brother Scott is intelligent. I don't know if he's a preacher or not. It hasn't yet been revealed. But Brother Scott is another young man that is highly intelligent, highly respected. I have never, ever had to get on that young man or correct him for rising up against me. He knows authority. It's utterly amazing. I mean, I can go on all day long. I can literally go on all day long. I'm just talking about, right, Brother Mitchell. Brother Mitchell down there in Texas. Man, I can, anyway, like I said, I can do it all day long. I can literally do it all day long. This is happening right before our very eyes. But we live in a generation where we are to save ourselves and not trying to save everybody else. You know, people in this county right here, you ought to see the discrimination and the racism I experience up here and the looks that I get. These white people would never know because they don't walk in the skin right here, and they have never did it before. But can you imagine how disturbed all these people are up here when I'm the least of their worries? Can you imagine how all disturbed people get up here in this particular county right here simply because of the color of my skin? I mean, it's like they can't be at peace when we live a quiet and separated, peaceful lifestyle. Now, not everybody in this county shares the racist attitudes of anybody else, but do you know no more than maybe as the crow fly that there is a hippie? There's two of them. There's one over here by the name of Jeff Poppins. He's a straight up naturalist cultist. They plant crystals in the ground and pray to gods and everything else. And he's received. Nobody says nothing about that. But you know the reason why he's received? Whether you people like it or not in Lafayette, Tennessee, I live here. The reason why y'all don't say too much about him because he's white. Up here, there's a bunch of white folks up here. There's a bunch of white folks up here that don't have no electricity. They crap on the ground. And nobody ever calls the Department of Human Services. Nobody ever calls the sanitation department. Nobody ever talk. A bunch of white folks live right up here, and they all are hippies, and they are just some of the nastiest, vilest looking people that you ever seen in your life. And this county says nothing about them. You know the reason why? Because they're white. It's amazing. And I'm going to continue to keep bringing awareness and attention to this, because this racism is utterly amazing. I told you what the devil's going to do. He's going to use racism. He's going to use racism. And I'm the only black preacher in this county. The only one. The only one. And it's amazing. It's utterly amazing. If I would just let our white brothers and sisters on this community come behind this camera and just let them talk to you about the things that we experience down here and the names we get called, you'll be utterly amazed. But anyway, the scope of this video is this. The scope of this video is that people can't be at peace when you're living in peace. But you people can't trust in your neighbors out there when all this looting, robbing, murdering, and killing go on, and then there's a world without rule of law. You be wise to prepare yourself right now and save yourself from this untoward generation, because it's not getting any better, it's getting worse. I cannot trust. I live in a country. I do not trust not one person outside of these gates unless they're part of us. I don't trust none of these. I know full well that I am in my enemy's land, and so therefore I take precautions. Yeah, I do too. I take precautions because, number one, my first and foremost priority as a pastor is the protection of y'all's flock. I'm a shepherd, and I take that very serious, because I'm going to be held accountable for my role and how I play it, defend it, and live it. And most people may not fear Yah, but I fear Yah to keep his commandments. And I will do it and continue to keep doing it. And so I take the defense of my people that live here on this land very, very seriously, as well as the elders and the brothers do. But you people have a lot to learn. You're not ready for natural disaster. You're not ready for a world without rule of law. You won't even be able to get out of those cities. So buy a piece of land somewhere. Obtain that first, so you begin to understand what freedom is. At least you'll have a place to run when all hell breaks loose. Because I'm telling you, you're not going to deliver your son or daughter in this generation, but you're going to be righteous. And in your righteousness, you'll be able to save yourself. I hope I said something to stimulate thought here this morning. Y'all be encouraged. King coming.